After 4 straight comeback wins, I do have to think that the Findaway Flames are back, and there may be a playoff run on their radar.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jessica Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're going to recap last night's overtime 4-3 win against the Seattle Kraken, what this means for the Flames playoff run, and maybe there has been a change in plans of just who the Flames actually need to chase. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's dive right into this because holy smokes, what a comeback. I feel like I've said that so much recently, and it's true. The Flames have won 4 straight with comebacks. Like, that for a team that had no comebacks between the start of the season, the Vancouver game being the first one, and no comebacks up until last week is crazy. And to go that long without a comeback win, but then to do it 4 times in a row. To me, that is quintessential Calgary Flames hockey. That is, I don't care who is on your roster, what year it is. It could be 20 years ago or 20 years in the future, and that just feels so deeply rooted in the Calgary Flames like DNA. So, Nazem Kadri has just been absolutely fantastic for this team. His whole time as a Flame, honestly, it has been a pleasure and a privilege to watch. I think that, him having back-to-back overtime winners is a lot of fun. And it's a reminder that, you know, this team, they have it when they want to have it. Um, I just, you can't fully rely on Kadri. You do need a different, a few different game breakers, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I just don't know what else you could possibly ask for from Kadri, and I understand like why people are on the trade Kadri team. Um, I understand, I do, but for the sake of this season, like obviously you're not making any more trades. I'm glad they didn't trade him because what he does and brings to this team is invaluable. I just I think that his leadership abilities, his offensive abilities, and the way that he he's just been unstoppable since him, Zary, and Pospisil have been put back together. So, I mean, maybe we need to figure something out there, but I I'm just impressed, and I think everyone should be. Another 30-goal season for for Kadri. Like, what else could you ask for from him? Pretty good stuff there. Adam Klapka opened the scoring last night with in the first period against the Kraken, and that's, opening the scoring is kind of a big deal because you don't want to be playing from behind. I guess right now the Flames play well when they're playing from behind, but you don't always want to rely on that. But he led the team in blocks with 5. Ow. I can only imagine how that felt. I'm sure guys like Blake Coleman and, um, you know, Joel Farabee are glad that he's out there taking some blocks instead of them. But I I I liked what we saw from Klapka last night. Having a big dude on your fourth line like that is it's good. And it's not just because, oh, he's big, he can beat people up. He does a lot more than just that. He takes up space, knows how to work the ice, can score, and he has a good finishing touch. It's not necessarily, like, one of his top skills, but we've seen him do it, and he can do it. And I mentioned earlier about how, um, Kadri shouldn't be the only game breaker, game changer on this team, and I think that that's a fair statement, but this year, that's exactly what he has been, and it's what the team needs. It is what they are chasing in the draft or through trades or potentially what they're building with Coronado and maybe Zeri. I think that it's very possible that those 2 could get it done, but what else? You need a, elite high-end scoring forward talent. And you're gonna acquire that through the draft. So I think it's pretty great that the Flames have that in Kadri. It's great that they're still hanging around the playoff spot. I am all for team fun. At this point, there's nothing left to tank for. Like, it's just not happening. I think that, with if they finish ninth place, they finish ninth place. But it was a fight up until the very end. And who knows what the Flames might get themselves into as we approach the final stretch of the Flame season. It is hard to believe. Here we are 6 months later. We are not talking about the draft lottery. We're not talking about a first overall pick. We're talking about playoffs. Can you believe it? If you told me this back in October, I would have said, no, I don't think we're talking about the same Calgary Flames. But coming up next, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into last night's game and talk about the breakdown, go over some numbers, as well as, you who else the Flames need to be chasing. Coming up next on Locked On Flames. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored job posts put your job at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in the spot where, we've needed to a team add a player to the team, and Indeed is a great spot. The pressure is on, and every day without the right person is a setback. It's not great to be down a player, and make sure your post is being seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. And just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And I watched up until the second period, or through the second period, and then, you know, the second period was horrible. I did finish the game, but, um, after the second period, I was like, "Okay, this is enough," and then just like they always do, I turned it right back on when I got the tweet saying, "Period 3 is a go," but it is just incredibly frustrating watching this team, uh, do silly things that cost them or put the other team that puts the Flames at a disadvantage. The too many men penalty, silly, puts, Seattle on the power play, and they score. And then there was another penalty later, and they killed it, but that's, you don't want to put them at that advantage. Um, I will say that the Flames outshooting the Kraken 37-29 is pretty great. They actually won the faceoff, won more faceoffs. The Flames were at 53% versus the Kraken's 46, which is kind of encouraging considering the Flames have not played well and not done well at the faceoff dot this season. So either that speaks to the Flames' determination or it speaks to how bad the Kraken centers are. I haven't decided yet. But it was also Matt Coronado's 100th NHL game last night, which is crazy to think about. Zary and Pospisil both hit that mark earlier this season, and now to have Coronado there, it's they've done a really good job integrating these players and working them into the lineup and setting them up for success. It's great. The Kraken had a really good defensive effort with 26 blocked shots to the Flames 12. I don't I don't know if I've seen that this season where the Flames are so heavily the block shots are so lopsided. I mean, I've seen it on the Flames side where they're blocking a lot more shots, but I don't for a team that is consistently blocking shots, 12 feels very low. I would be interested to see what that actually if that's actually, the right number, if the officials got it right. I don't know. But the Flames outshooting the Kraken 37-29 is impressive. We know that this team is not necessarily a volume team. They do typically shoot 20 plus shots on goal a night, but when you start approaching that 40 mark, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of effort, and there's no quit with this team. And I think we have seen that all season long, but especially in this last week, I would say week to 10 days has just been consistently applying pressure, which is great because we know you can't just coast into a wild card spot this late in the season. It'd be better if you had it and you could hold on to it and keep gaining ground, but that's not the case right now. The Flames have to keep digging in right now, as some man once said. But Rasmus Andersson also scored again last night. That is back-to-back games for him as well. He scored on Long Island and then against the Kraken last night. So I mean, good for him. For a guy that he has had an offensive presence to his game in the past. I would say that him and Uyghur at one point were both very offensively inclined. I think that Anderson it's been since he was hit by that car while riding a scooter in Detroit that his game changed. He's likely fully healed 2 years later, but I'm telling you that changed something. I don't know what, but he lost all the confidence in his game. Where is the Rasmus Andersson, just clapper? Where is it? We don't see that anymore. And it's crazy to me. It feels like something they're absolutely missing from the lineup. But Ryan Huska is the coach of the team, and he is the one that is making all this happen. So I guess he's the one that knows better out of the two of us. But Kadri scored on the power play too. Tied it up early in the third period, and good. I think it's great for the Flames to really take advantage of the man advantage because sometimes it doesn't feel like they actually know what they're doing when it comes to that. And not in I feel like they miss a lot of opportunities, and it's nice to see. I feel like you can almost always count on a Huberto power play goal. He had the primary assist here, which is pretty neat. I'm proud of the team and what they have worked through this year. This year has been incredibly emotional, incredibly just an uphill battle the entire way. So for them to be where they're at right now versus where they were expected, it's it's something they should be proud of. It shows their hunger, their work ethic, uh, the talent of the roster, the ability to show up when they need to. And it's I want to keep seeing this. I want to see more of this season. I think while they likely would not have much success in the playoffs, I still think it would be great because any experience is good experience. And we've talked about it on this show before. You're never gonna make it far in the playoffs if you aren't consistently playing playoff hockey. So if it's your first go of it, it's probably very unlikely that you are going to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, it happens, but it's the same teams pretty much every year after year. And you see why. And you see why they do so well because they know what it takes to play playoff hockey. It's a whole different game. And I do wonder if this team has that in them. I wouldn't doubt it. They manage to wear a lot of different hats. And if there's a will, there is a way with this team. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild and how the Flames should maybe be chasing them instead of the St. Louis Blues, who are showing zero signs of slowing down. Coming up next here on Locked On Flames. If you're like me, your mornings have to start with a good cup of coffee, but I got tired of settling for grocery store brands that just weren't cutting it. That's why I turned to Trade. And let me tell you, this coffee is next level. Trade is the number one specialty coffee marketplace in the US, bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Their experts have taste tested thousands of coffees, curating over 450 amazing roasts. Whether you're new to coffee or know exactly what you like, they will handpick the perfect match for you. My first bag was a game changer. It is actually this guy right here, Space Cowboy. It is delicious. I think that I will be ordering another bag. And the subscription makes it so easy. No more last minute grocery store runs or settling for whatever is on the shelf. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners 40% off of your first order at drinktrade.com/locked on NHL. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/locked on NHL for 40% off of your first order. Drinktrade.com/locked on NHL. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And thanks for making the show part of your day. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jessica Belmosto. With the Blues on a 7-game win streak, with scoring 7 goals in a game, uh, there may not be a team, maybe St. Louis isn't the team for the Flames to catch. Maybe it is the Minnesota Wild that are really struggling. They have struggled a bit, I would say, all season long, whether it is suspensions or they've had horrible um, they've just had a number of injuries that have, I think, truly piled up and just left this team decimated. They are 8-1 since the Four Nation break, and their spot is likely going to be taken by, you know, St. Louis is going to claim that number 1 wild card spot. And it is just it's so interesting because you see teams like St. Louis that go on an absolute tear going into the playoffs, and then you see at the other end of the spectrum, teams just crumbling. Like, to a different extent, like, you could put Vancouver closer to the Wild, like, crumbling, and then the Flames are also I wouldn't say they're on a tear by any means, but they're doing pretty well. They've won 4 in a row, we'll take it. Um, they're up there with St. Louis, but those back-to-back losses against St. Louis earlier this season killed you. Even if you just took one of those games or went to overtime, you could have had something. This conversation would be different. And I don't think that the Flames are going to catch um, St. Louis. I think that St. Louis is going to eventually just like jump um, Minnesota for that spot, and that's fine. Um, there's really not much you can do there, but I do think that with the Flames, you have to, I guess, keep an open mind because I think regardless of who the Flames will play in the playoffs, it's going to be a series. I don't necessarily, I don't know. I don't want to say, oh, it'll be a quick 1-2, a 1-2 sweep sort of situation because we know the Flames aren't going to go down without a fight, but we know they also don't necessarily compare to a lot of these teams. But there are so many issues with the Wild that I think makes it easy for them to be a vulnerable target for the Flames because they, like I mentioned earlier, they have had so many injuries to so many important players, core players, and then there's been trade rumors around Marco Rossi all season long, and now they're kicking tires on that again. So what what does that noise do to a team? And do I think it's realistic for the Flames to catch the Wild? I mean, yeah. Simple math and common sense and deductibility or whatever it's called tells you it is. If the Flames keep winning, they go up. And if the Wild lose, they go down. What do? The Flames eventually take over. I think that the Wild kind of spiraling helps the Flames a lot. I think it helps tremendously. And with the Flames winning pretty much every game that they step out on the ice, that also puts them at another advantage because you need every single point you can get and try to gain some ground. I do worry about this game against Dallas tomorrow because, well, it is Dallas. Dallas is incredibly stacked. They are a very talented team. The last time these two teams met, they kind of got a little physical with Dustin Wolf in the crease. I didn't really like it, and he didn't, and Wolf didn't like it, and it was Jamie Benn of all people. So I guess I would just be cautious, cautiously optimistic about how this game goes. Michael Backlund could very well be back, which would be, I think, huge for the Flames because he does bring the strength at the face-off dot, but also the two-way game. He is a big defensive add back to the lineup. So we will have to just wait and see what happens. I do feel like our focus has to shift from St. Louis to Minnesota just because of the direction, like the opposite directions they are heading in. And hopefully the Flames will be able to squeak in and make some noise, prove the doubters wrong. It's so much fun. I mean, How could you not be excited for this? But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic evening. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I will be back to chat with you all tomorrow and give you any updates on the wild card race. Bye-bye.